Hello everyone, welcome to the News Today edition of 23rd January. Myself Nilesh and I will be taking this session. Before we start today's session, let's see the headlines. In today's session, we will be covering 5 main news, 1 personality in news and 7 quick updates. In main news, first main news is about UNSC reforms, as UNSC reform model is proposed by the group of 4. Then second main news is about air pollution in Delhi NCR, as Commission for Air Quality Monitoring have published the report related to causes of air pollution in Delhi. Then third main news is about State of Finance for Nature 2026 report, which has been published by the United Nations Environmental Program. Then fourth main news is about the green transition, as Niti Aayog has published various reports on green transition in cement, aluminium and MSME sectors. And then last main news is about military quantum mission policy framework, as it is published by the Chief of Defence Staff. In personality in news, we will be covering Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. So without wasting any time, let's start the first main news of the day. The first main news of the day is UNSC reforms model proposed by the group of 4. In this article, we will see what are the reforms proposed by the group of 4. Then we will see about the UNSC as a body, and then we will see what are the need of those reforms. Right? This is very important for your GS paper 2. That is important international institution, agencies and fora and their structure and mandate. So what is the background? So as we already discussed, the background is that group of 4 have proposed the model for the UNSC restructuring. Here, what is the group of 4? So group of 4 is the emerging economies or the middle powers, and those are comprised of India, Brazil, Germany and Japan, and these powers want UNSC to be reformed, right? So this is the big background. Now we will see why there is a need for the UNSC reform. Please see. So United Nations Security Council was formed in 1945, and since then there is no addition in the members of the UNSC. So this is the one thing. Secondly, UNSC was formed in 1945 for what? Because of the World War II, and there was instability, and then there was need of some international organization who will take care of the security of the weaker countries, and that was the purpose. That was the purpose behind the UNSC formation. Now with the time, there are new countries and new powers which are emerging in the multipolar world, but UNSC have not been reformed. So this is the big background. Now we will see about the UNSC. So UNSC is one of the 6th major organs of the UN Charter, and which are other 5. So first is UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, then Secretariat, then Trusteeship Council, then ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council, and then ICJ, International Court of Justice. So these are the 6 major organs which are established by the UN Charter. And what is its function? So function is primarily it is responsible for maintaining the international peace and security. And how it maintains international peace and security? So it can impose sanctions on the countries which are not adhering to the international law. Secondly, they can also send the peacekeeping missions. Also, they can take direct military action, but that is very rare. So these are the some of the instruments that from which they generally maintain the international peace and security. Now we will see the structure. So what is the structure? So it is the 15-member body, and Out of those 15, 5 are the permanent members, and 10 are non-permanent members. So which are those 5 permanent members? So those are USA, UK, France, China and Russia, and they have the veto power. What is the veto power? So basically, when some resolution comes to UNSC, and if any of these 5 members opposes that resolution, even if other members are in favor, that resolution will not be passed. So they have the veto power. Veto power means they single-handedly can oppose or stop the resolution by getting resolution getting passed. So this is the veto power, and non-permanent member do not have the veto power. So this is the second thing. Then about the 10 non-permanent members, they are elected by the General Assembly for 2 years, and they are not eligible for the immediate re-election. Now, what is the status of India regarding it? So India have been elected to the UNSC for the 8 times. How many times? 8 times India have been elected to UNSC, and lastly it was in 2022. So it is about the UNSC. Please remember these facts which can be asked in your examination, right? Now we will see what are the key reforms which are proposed by the group of 4, and first is related to expansion of council. So they are saying that expansion of council should be there, and there should be total members nearly 25 or 26 members, right? And there should be 6 new permanent members, and then permanent member will increase to 11, right? And then there should be 14 or 15 non-permanent members. Then they have also proposed what will be the regional distribution of new permanent members. So 2 will be from Africa, 2 will be from Asia Pacific, 1 from the Latin America, and 1 from the Western European and other member countries. So this is the reform structure they have shared. But what are the issues which are impeding these reforms? The first is there is these reforms can be initiated in two stages. In first stage, the resolution will be passed at UNGA with 2/3 majority. This can be happened, and then that resolution will be sent to the UNSC, and any permanent member can veto this resolution. So this is the impediment. And secondly, there are some of the organizations such as Coffee Club, which organization are opposing the UNSC reforms. So these are some of the issues related to it. Then please remember there is one group called as C10, and these are the African countries group. Those are the 10 African countries, and they also want the UNSC reform. So please remember the Coffee Club is opposing the reforms, and the C10 and G4 are for the reforms. So this is all about it. Now we will see what is the need of the reforms. And what is the need? The first thing we already discussed, that is outdated power structure. So this structure was established in 1945, and after that there has been changes in the geopolitical and geo-economic powers in the international relations, but that is not reflected in the UNSC structure. Secondly, there is veto deadlock. So many times what happens, if there is any resolution or any action which is needed to be taken, then some country will veto it. So the permanent member will veto it, and that is actually paralyzing the functioning of the UNSC. So this can be seen in the Ukraine and Gaza war. In Ukraine, the Russia is itself involved, and it will always oppose anything which is not in sync with its policy. So these are the things. Then there is underrepresentation. So many major countries, for example, India, Brazil, those are not there, and those can be called as middle power. Related to middle power, recently at WEF, Canadian Prime Minister gave the very good speech related to geopolitical changes which is happening and the role of the middle powers in it. You can heard that speech, which is very important. You can quote some of the quotes given in that speech. So that is also important. And then finally, there is financial dependence. So reliance on the small number of major donors, for example, USA, creates budget instability and risk, because we have seen that USA is pulling out of many organizations and considering the funds, and that is affecting the effective implementation. So there should not be reliance on the small countries for the funds. So that is also one of the reason that there should be UNSC reforms. Now we will see related questions. The first question is from the 2009 and it is very easy question. The UNSC consists of the 5 permanent members, as we all know, and the remaining 10 members are elected by the General Assembly for the term of, we already discussed, that is 2 years. Very easy question. Then there was this question, discuss the impediments India is facing in the pursuit of the permanent seat in the UNSC. So this question have been asked 3-4 times in the recent year, and this is very important for your preparation. So you should discuss what are the impediments India is facing. The first, we already talked that there is impediment at the changes or the amendments, which is two-step process. You can write that. Then there is opposition such as coffee club and all that. So you can write all those points. You can write what is the significance of the UNSC reforms. So this is all about the first news. Let's start the second news. So second main news is about Commission for Air Quality Management, CAQM, have released the report on the causes of the air pollution in Delhi NCR. And this is very important topic for your paper, GS paper 3, that is environmental pollution and the degradation. In this topic, we will discuss what are the causes or the key findings of the report given by the CAQM, and then some of the recommendations which are given by the CAQM. Right. So let's start the discussion. As we already discussed, what is the development? So development is that this export report was prepared following the Supreme Court order related to MC Mehta versus Union of India case. This case is very important for you. This case is milestone in the environmental sustainability. Right. So please remember this case. You can quote this case in various answers. Secondly, we will see some of the terms before we heading to the key findings. And first term is AQI, Air Quality Index. So AQI is the air quality index which is been started by the Ministry of the Environment. And what is AQI? So AQI covers the 8 pollutants. Please remember. So it covers the 8 pollutants and it categorizes pollution into 6 categories. How many categories? 6 categories. And what are these pollutions? So particulate matter 10, particulate matter 2.5, then carbon monoxide, right? Then sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, then ammonia, right? So these are the some of the pollutants which are covered in the AQI, right? And what are the 6 stages? So first is good, then there is satisfactory, then there is moderate, then there is poor, then very poor, and then there is severe. So these are the 6 stages. Please remember that UPSC may ask the question related to it. So this is about the AQI. Now we will see the key findings given in the report. And what are the key findings? The first key finding is related to secondary particulate matter. So report is saying the largest contributor, that is 27% is the secondary particulate matters. And secondary particulate matters are the fine particles, form in the atmosphere during the chemical reaction. Please remember this fact. Chemical reaction of the precursor gases such as sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide, then ammonia and volatile organic compounds. What is the secondary pollutants and primary pollutants? So primary pollutants are the pollutants which are emitted by the direct sources in the environment, and secondary pollutants are when primary pollutant react with the environment and form the another pollutant, that is called as the secondary pollutant. So please remember this fact. And secondary particulate matter is the largest source of the air pollution in Delhi, and that is contributing around the 27%. Secondly, other major winter contributors are, that is transport, and so transport is contributing near about 23%, that is also very high, and then followed by the biomass burning, that is almost 20%, right? Then dust counts for the 15%. So dust is there because of the no plantation or trees, then there is infrastructure or the construction going on, and then there will be dust. So these are the things. Recently Aravali's definition was changed, and there was huge demonstrations, and one of the thing which Aravali stops, that is the dust which is coming from the deserts. So please remember that is this thing, and even then there is a dust which is contributing near about 15%. Imagine if there will be a degradation of Aravali's, this percentage can be more. So this is the one fact. Then there is industry, that is contributing 9%, and this industry which also includes the large coal related power plants. So this is the key findings. Then there are some other findings also. And which are those other findings? So first finding is related to trends in PM 2.5 and the PM 10. So report says that so there is stagnant gradual decline or the stable trends related to PM 2.5 and the PM 10. However, these concentrations are very high as compared to the annual national ambient air quality standards. And what is those standards? For PM 10, it is around 60 microgram per meter per cubic meter, and PM 2.5 it is 40 microgram per cubic meter. So this is high even today. If there is decline or this stable concentration of PM 10 and PM 2.5 since 2016, but the concentration is still high, and we have to reduce that concentration. Secondly, transboundary pollution. So please remember that the pollution in Delhi is not originated in Delhi largely. 2/3 of the Delhi's 2.5 originate outside the Delhi, because there are various states such as Punjab and Haryana. So the stubble burning is there, and that stubble burning also increases the pollution. So please remember, and that pollution is increasing PM 2.5 levels in the Delhi. Also, season is a villain. How season is villain? So pollution peaks during the winter mainly due to the low wind speed. So wind speed is low, and that is why pollutants are concentrated in the Delhi NCR region. Secondly, shallow planetary boundary layer and the atmospheric stagnation. So what happens in winter? So this is the layer of the air, and this is the upper layer of the air. So this is cold and this is hot, and hot air is lighter and cold air is heavier. So what happens, this cold air cannot go upward, and that will be stagnant here, and all the particulate matter will be concentrated here, and that is the reason during winter the pollutants will increase and the air quality will decrease. So this is all about the findings. Now we will see what are the suggestions given by the report and what are the recommendation. The first recommendation is related to infrastructure. These are very normal recommendation. You know that you can just read and there is no anything scientific. So first is related to infrastructure and what they are saying. So they are saying that augment the waste to energy plants, then install barrier free toll system so that vehicle will not be trapped there in at these toll stations burning the fuel, and then rationalization of environment compensation charge. So this is the infrastructure. Then about the transport reforms, so scrap the vehicles which are outdated and there should be promotion of electric or CNG public transport and zero emission mobility. But please remember that when we will have the electric or zero emission mobility, the electricity should not be produced with the coal, otherwise there will be no purpose served at all. So this is also important. And then there is the governance component. So what is it saying? So it is saying that government should have the some mandatory annual action plan, and by that there will be accountability of various governments around the Delhi, and that way QI quality can be increased in the Delhi NCR. So this is all about the recommendation. Now we will see previous year questions. Please see, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, which one of the following is the largest source of sulfur dioxide emission? And the option is locomotives, second is ships, third is extraction of metals from the ores, and fourth is the power plants. And the answer is power plants. So power plants are emitting largest sulfur dioxide emissions. So please remember this. Then there is this question. Please see this question. Why there is a concern about the copper smelting plants? And this is a very common sense question. First statement is that they may release the lethal quantities of the carbon monoxide into the environment. Please remember, so lethal is the too toxic, and if it is emitting lethal amount of carbon monoxide, then there will be huge opposition to the copper smelting industry. That is not the case. First can be wrong, and if you just eliminate it first, your answer will be B, 2 and 3. That is, copper slag can cause the leaching of the some of the heavy metals into the environment. That is correct. And they may release the sulfur dioxide as the pollutant. That is also correct. Sulfur dioxide is the pollutant in the many of the metal industries. So this is all about the second news. Now we will see the third news of the day. So third main news of the day is about the state of finance for the nature 2026 report, which has been published by the United Nations Environment Program, right? And this report is very important for your GS paper 3, that is conservation and the sustainable development. In this we will see what are the key highlights of the reports, then what are the recommendation, and what are the various steps taken at the world level and at the India level to increase the state of finance for the sustainable development. So let's start the discussion. So as we already discussed, what is the development, the report have been published, and that report is saying that the global financial imbalance is there, that nature negative finance is more than the nature positive finance. And what is the nature positive finance? So nature positive finance is the investment in the environmental conservation. And what is nature negative finance? So nature negative finance is the finance where the finance can cause the environmental degradation. So this is about it. Then what is the nature positive finance example? That is the nature based solutions. And what is nature based solution? So we use nature for environmental sustainability or the revival. For example, mangrove plantation, then tree plantation, right? So these are the nature based solution. So we are using nature as the solution for to combat the environmental degradation, and nature negative such as environmentally harmful subsidies, right, such as oil exploration, use of chemical fertilizer. So all those can be nature negative finance. So this is about the development. Now we will see what are the key highlights of the report. And the first key highlight is the massive funding gap. And what is that gap? In 2023, the nature negative finance is about 7.3 trillion, which is 30 times higher than the nature positive finance, which is near about $220 billion only. So that is first thing. Secondly, private public finance gap. About 90% of the nature based solution finance is by the public finance or by the governments, and private finance is largely towards the concentrated in the high impact sectors such as fossil fuel, steel, and high energy intensive sectors, which are actually nature negative, right? So this is the second thing. Then third thing is the investment needs. So what it is saying, that Rio Convention targets limiting the warming nearly to 1.5 degrees Celsius and halting the biodiversity loss. Annual nature-based financial investment must increase by more than 2.5 times to the around 271 billion by 2030, which is very cumbersome. Now it is nearly about $220 billion, and we want nearly $571 billion by 2030, which is very high targets, right? It is nearly about 2.5 or more than that. So this is the key highlights. Then there are other recommendation. And what are those recommendations? The first recommendation is that redirecting capital flow away from the nature negative activities, and for that private sector should contribute in the nature positive finance. Secondly, reforming harmful subsidies. So government should avoid harmful subsidies which are harming the nature in the long term. Then there is mandatory disclosure of the nature related risk. If there is any project or there is any industry or any development activity, then there should be a mandatory disclosure related to nature related risk in that. And then expanding the blended finance and de-risking investment to the mobilize the private capital, as we already discussed in the first point itself. So these are the key recommendation given. Now we will see what are the key initiatives for the nature based finance. And first is that nature based solution, sorry, and the first is Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, and it is for the biodiversity restoration and aims to protect 30% of the land and the sea by 2030. Please remember this. And what is the target of harmful subsidies? So they want to reduce harmful subsidies by the 500 billion per year, right? So this is about the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. And then there is a task force on the nature related financial disclosures, TNFD, and this framework is for the businesses to report and act on the nature related risk and impacts. So these are the international efforts. Now we will see what are the India's steps. So first, India have initiated the scheme that is called as MISTI scheme, and in this scheme we actually plant mangroves in coastal regions, right? So that is the MISTI scheme. And secondly, then there is Amrit Dharohar. And what we do in Amrit Dharohar, so we promote the conservation of the Ramsar sites, and that is for the conservation of the lakes. So Amrit Dharohar is for the conservation of the lakes and particularly Ramsar sites, and Ramsar is the convention which is signed in the Iran, which was signed in the Iran, and it is for the conservation of the lakes. So these are the initiatives taken by the India. Now we will see some of the question, and there is only one question related to it, and the question is, recently oil zapper was in news, and what it is. So firstly, it is an eco-friendly technology for the remediation of the oil sludges and the oil spills. Second, it is the latest technology developed for the undersea oil exploration. Then it is genetically engineered high biofuel yielding maize variety, and it is the latest technology to control the accidentally caused flames from the oil wells. So the answer is A, very easy. So such kind of question can be asked and you should be prepared for that. Now we will see next main news. So next main news is about reports which are published by the Niti Aayog, and these are the reports on the green transition in cement, aluminium and MSME sectors. So these are some of the sectors which are actually contributing to large pollution in the industrial activity. And this topic is very important for paper 3, that is environmental pollution and degradation and the sustainable development. So let's see what is those reports are saying and what are the recommendation given. So what is the development, as we already discussed. So report outlines the decarbonization roadmap for the cement, aluminium and MSME sectors. And what is the decarbonization? So decarbonization is withdrawing or the process of reducing the eliminating the carbon dioxide from these industries, right? So this is the decarbonization. In economy also, decarbonization of economy means reducing the intensity of the carbon dioxide emission in the economy. So that is the decarbonization. And what are India's key targets? So firstly, India's target is nationally determined contribution. And what is that contribution? So to reduce the intensity of the carbon dioxide emission of the GDP by 45% by 2030 from the 2005 levels. So it is given by India at the Paris conference. And secondly, Panchamrita. And what is the Panchamrita? Panchamrita is net zero greenhouse gas emission by the 2070. So please remember, see, firstly nationally determined contribution and secondly Panchamrita. So this is the India's targets. Now we will see what is the significance of decarbonizing these sectors. So firstly, these sectors are contributing India's total greenhouse gas emission largely. See, cement sector is contributing around 6%. Then aluminium sector is contributing around 2.8%, which is nearly 3%. And then MSMEs are also contributing largely. And what is that number? So they have contributed around 135 million tons of the carbon emissions in 2022, right? And this will also impact India's export competitiveness. How? So new regulations such as EU's CBAM, carbon border adjustment mechanism, where they will impose taxes if the production is made from the high carbon dioxide emission, and those taxes will be higher, and by that way our export potential will reduce. So that will be also one of the effect. So these are the some of the significance of the decarbonizing the industries, right? Now we will see some of the recommendation given in the report, and the first recommendation is related to aluminium sector. And what it is saying? So it is saying that transition should be there for the renewable energy round the clock, power and grid connection adoption, or nuclear power. So what it is saying? So one of the issue with the renewable energy is that they are not constant. Solar energy is not available at night, and wind energy is not reliable, and there should be round the clock power and grid connection of the nuclear renewable energy. That is one thing. And Secondly, we can adopt the nuclear power where the carbon monoxide emissions are very low. So this is the second thing. Then carbon capture and utilization storage CCUS can be utilized, and where carbon dioxide can be trapped and can be captured and trapped somewhere, and it will not be in the air. So these are the primary strategic leverages and recommendation given for the aluminum industry. And what is the expectation if we do that? 10% emission reduction by the 2030. That is the for the aluminum. Then there is cement. And what is the recommendation? Reuse the refuse the derived fuels usage from the municipal solid waste. So municipal solid waste, if you use as the fuel, they emit high carbon dioxide and they should be reduced. Then clinker substitute. So what are the clinker substitutes? Such as slags, steel slags are there, then fly ash. So these are the clinker substitute, those can be used and those will reduce the carbon dioxide emission. And then there is carbon capture and utilization and storage, which is as we are discussing in the aluminum sector. And what will be the implication or the expected output? That is 80 to 85% reduction in the greenhouse gases emission by 2070. That is for the cement. And then there is MSMEs, and what it is saying, that national program for green transition for MSMEs, scrapping up the energy, scaling up the energy efficiency, and retrofitting with the energy efficient equipments. So it is saying that we should retrofit the energy efficient equipment, and you should upgrade the equipment so that energy demand will be reduced. And then there should be green electricity uses, and there should be use of the alternative fuels. And what are those alternative fuels? Such as biomass, CNC, then natural gas and all those things. And by that, carbon dioxide emission will be reduced. And what is the expected impact? The expected impact is around 75 to 85 million ton carbon dioxide equivalent greenhouse gas reduction. So this is recommendation and the expected impacts which are given in the report. Now we will see some of the questions related to it. The first question is, which of the following are some important pollutant released by the steel industry? Oxide of sulfur is there, oxide of nitrogen, carbon monoxide is there, carbon dioxide. So answer is D, all of the above. Please remember this fact. Then there is another question, which one of the following best describe the term greenwashing and conveying the false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound? So this is the answer. So last main news of the day is that Chief of Defense Staff have released the military quantum mission policy framework, and this is emerging technology and it is very important for paper 3, that is security challenges and their management, and paper 2, that is government policies for the development in various sectors. Let us see what is the framework which is given by the CDS. So we already discussed what is the development. Now we will see key highlights of the framework. So what is the vision? So vision is jointness of the tri-services, that is Air Force, Navy and the Army, and to achieve the technological dominance in the technology centric warfare. So future warfares will be technology centric, and there will be a less importance of the foot soldiers and more on the technology, right? So that is the one thing. Then civil military fusion. So what it is saying? So it is saying that National Quantum Mission, which is released by India in 2023 to make India a quantum nation, and it will ensure that the collaboration between the civilian research organization and the military application. So this mission will be utilized to develop the military equipments and the military applications to help military to be combat ready in the future technology, right? Then it have given the core domains. So it have given the 4 core domains, and that is quantum communication, then second is quantum computing, then third is quantum sensing and metrology, and fourthly quantum materials and the devices, which will we these things we will see in the upcoming slides. But let us see what is the quantum. So quantum is the state of the subatomic particles or the small particles, where they show the characteristic of the substance as well as the wave. So these are the quantums, and these quantums are very important, as qubit can be used in the quantum computers. And what is the qubit? So generally when computer is there, it have the binary code, that is 0 and 1, and all the information, all your softwares, games and whatever thing, they are written in the binary, that is 0 and 1. But in qubit it have the different properties. So it is a 3-dimensional model, for example, and it will have the 1 and 0 and all the possibilities in between 1 and 0 at once, right? And that is why its efficiency is very high, and it can be used very efficiently for the efficient purposes, and that is the quantum computing and its mechanism. So same can be used in the quantum communication for the secure communication, fast communication, right? So these are the core domains. Now we will see what are the applications of the quantum technology in the defense. Firstly, secure communication. So there is one thing, that is quantum key distribution, or called as QKD, and that uses the principle of entanglement theoretically, and it is unhackable. So what is entanglement? So if there are two qubits, so they will be related to each other, and if there is any disturbance between these, so it will be reported. And if this quantum entanglement is disturbed by some of the spy network, so it can be reported, and that is why this communication is very secure. Secondly, quantum sensing and metrology. So generally what happens, so normal radars and imaging can be there, and they can actually detect some of the aeroplanes, but if there is stealth aircrafts and submarines, they cannot detect it. But if you are using quantum sensing and metrology, so such stealth aircraft and submarines can also be detected by the quantum technology, right? So that is also very important. Then quantum navigation. So many times what happens, GPS is jam, or you can say that snooping of the GPS, and in that cases the aeroplanes or the any object which is in air can be distracted. But if you are using quantum navigation, such jamming or snooping is very difficult. That is also, and that is why in quantum navigation will help for the reliable navigation, right? And then there is logistic intelligence, and what it is do, so it will give the signal intelligence, and it will help us to protect data sets, systems through the quantum AI, and it can be used in the warfare to attack the enemy infrastructure, or save our infrastructure from the enemy attacks, which can be using the quantum technology for their defense purposes. So this is all about the applications of it. Now we will see other application, and one of the other application is quantum materials. And what are these quantum materials? So these are the materials which are adaptive, have the adaptive properties, or the programmable materials. And what does it mean? So it means that some of the materials which can change their state, their charge, or their state, charge, their size. So these are called as programmable materials, and quantum materials can have these properties and can be very helpful in the aerospace applications and various other applications also. Then there is cyber defense, as we already talked, that the post quantum cryptography, which is very high level of cryptography and very difficult to decode, can be used to protect the critical infrastructure such as nuclear power plant or dams or such kind of things. And this can actually save our critical infrastructure, and India also can attack other enemy nations infrastructure by using the quantum computing cryptography, right? So this is all other applications which are given here. Now we will see question related to it, and the question is that which one of the following is the context in which the term qubit is mentioned. And it is very easy, as we already discussed, that is related to quantum computing, right? So this is the answer. Then there is one question, that is the emergence of the fourth industrial revolution. Please give importance to this word, fourth industrial revolution, has initiated the e-governance as the integral part of the government. Discuss. So in this thing we have to discuss all the emerging technologies such as AI, robotics, then quantum technology, all those things, and how they can actually digitally revitalize or revitalize the e-governance system in India. So you can mention AI, robotics, or quantum technology, all those things, and you can mention that there will be speed, transparency, accountability, all those things you can actually mention. So this is all about the main news. Now we will see personality in news. So personality in news is the Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose, right? And what is the context? So context is that government is celebrating Parakram Divas, that is on the 23rd January, to commemorate the 129th birth anniversary of the Netaji. And what are the key contribution of the Netaji? Firstly, he was the president of Indian National Congress in 1938 and 1939, and he resigned due to the differences with the other leaders in the Congress, right? So that is the one thing. Then he wrote for the Chittaranjan Das newspaper, and that newspaper was Forward. So it was the newspaper of the Chittaranjan Das. Please remember this fact. And he himself started one newspaper, and that newspaper was Swaraj. Please remember, because generally UPSC ask about the newspaper and who founded it. So Forward was founded by the Chittaranjan Das, and the Swaraj was founded by Netaji himself. Then he escaped from the house arrest in 1941, and he went to Japan, Germany, and other nations to seek the help for the India's independence, right? Then he led the Indian National Army, or also known as Azad Hind Fauj, from the 1943, and he fought alongside the Japanese army in the northeast sector of India and Burma. He also established provincial government of Free India in Imphal in Manipur to mobilize the Indians for the anti-British revolt. Please remember that 3 islands were renamed in the memory of the Netaji, and one island, that is Ross Island, is given the name Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose Island. Please remember this fact. So this is the Andaman Nicobar Islands, and one of the island, which is Ross Island, is renamed as Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose Island. Please remember this. And what are the values? So patriotism, heroism, then leadership, courage, all those are the values. So this is all about the personality in news. Now we will see quick updates of the day. The first quick update of the day is NATO. And what is NATO? NATO is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, right? What is the development? So USA was actually threatening to impose tariffs on NATO, but that now it have said that USA have withdrawn the tariffs threats linked to Greenland. So this is the development. Now we will see what is the NATO. So NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, as we already discussed, and it was formed in 1949 because there were two blocks, Soviet Union and USA, and to alleviate the threats of the Soviet Union in the Europe, so NATO was formed. And one of the provision of the NATO is that if any country of NATO is attacked by some other country, it will be considered attack on the total NATO members. So this is one of the fact. This treaty is also known as Washington Treaty. And where is the headquarter? So headquarter is in Brussels. And what is the nature? It is political and military alliance of 32 countries from Europe and the North America. So Sweden is the latest member. Please remember this fact. And recently there was question on the NATO also in the UPSC last year. So please remember, and it can be asked because it is in news. Then it operates on the principles of collective defense, as we already discussed. That is Article 5. That is attack on one member is considered attack on all. So this is all about the NATO. Now we will see second quick update of the day. So next quick update of the day is about the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. And what is the development? So government have sanctioned over the 10,000 kilometer of the roads in 6 states under the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana phase 4, right? So let's see about the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Which is the ministry? So ministry is Ministry of Rural Development. Please remember that, not road and highways. And secondly, it was launched in December 2000. So that is also very important. And what is the type? That is the centrally sponsored scheme. So it is the centrally sponsored scheme, and state also contribute to in generally 60-40 basis in the normal state, and in Himalayan terrain it is around 90-10 basis, right? Then what is the objective? So objective generally provide the all weather road connectivity to eligible unconnected rural habitations. So generally, please remember, all weather connectivity, right? And this scheme have been implemented in the 4 phases till now. In first phase we started in 2000. So universal rural access was given to the villages, to the market and service linkages, right? Then in phase 2 we started in 2013. So it upgraded and consolidated the rural road network, and in phase 3 we started in 2019. So around 1,25,000 kilometers of the road improved connectivity to socio-economic institutions. What are these socio-economic institutions? Such as hospitals, schools. So these institutions were connected, right? And then there is fourth phase, that is from the 2024, and it will last till 2029, and it will cover 25,000 unconnected habitation to be connected via 62,500 kilometers of the road to the other connected facilities. So this is all about the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Now we will see the next quick update. So next quick update is about the generalized scheme of preferences, or also known as GSP. And what is the context? So European Union have extended this scheme for the benefits of India under the generalized scheme of preferences. And what is this scheme? So this scheme was introduced in 1971, and it is the unilateral trade preferences. So it is European Union gives the unilateral trade preference, and its purpose was to poverty reduction and promoting sustainable development in the other countries which are poor or the developing countries, and it is by the European Union. Please remember that. And India have got an extension in it, and it consists 3 tiers. So first is general GSP, and here duty reduction on 66% of the tariff lines is there. Then there is GSP plus, where zero duties on 66% of the tariff lines for the countries that implement the core human rights. For example, if you have the democracy and other labor laws, so you can get that zero duty. And then everything but the arms. So in third, fully duty free access to the least developed countries. Only exemption is arms. Arms are not covered in this. So this is all about the generalized scheme of preferences, and it can be asked as India got the extension and it is by the European Union. So this is all about the quick update. Now we will see the next quick update, that is the Terra waves. And what is the development? So Blue Origin to deploy thousands of satellites for the new Terra wave communication network. So it is the organization and it will deploy thousands of satellites. So now we will see what is the Terra wave communication network. So it is the hybrid constellation, around 5400 satellites spanning both in low earth orbit and the medium earth orbit, right? That is the first thing. Then it provides symmetrical bandwidth through the radio frequency and optical connectivity. And what is the optical connectivity? So it transmits data using the light pulse through the fiber optic cable. So these are the fiber optic cables, and what happens? So light will travel through it. Total internal reflection is there. This is the phenomena, and light will hit here and then will reflect here, then here, and this way it will transmit, and it have more speed and the data carrying capacity than the other thing. So that is the one thing, right? And what is the target? So target is that services strictly support the enterprises, governments and the data center clients, providing the reliable connectivity for the critical operations. So this is all about the Terra waves. Now we will see next quick update. So next quick update is about ECI Net. So Election Commission of India launched ECI Net digital platform at International Conference on Democracy and Election Management 2026. And what is ECI Net? So it is a beta version which was successfully piloted during the 2025 Bihar Assembly elections. And what is it? So it is a digital ecosystem of the Election Commission of India, enabling end-to-end management of the electoral processes in the single unified platform. So what is the significance? It enhances the transparency, efficiency, accountability. And what are the services it provides? So it provides voter registration, electoral roll search, track your application, know your candidate. So all the information related to election is there in the one application, that is ECI Net. So this is all about the ECI Net. UPSC can ask the question, what is ECI Net? And other details are not so important, right? So this is about the ECI Net. So next quick update is about the Board of Peace, and we have discussed it in detail a few days back. But what is the development? That India was absent at the US President announced formation of the Board of Peace, as India was invited in it. Now we will see what is the Board of Peace. So Board of Peace was proposed international organization and the transitional governing body aimed at managing the post-conflict transition, particularly in Gaza. So there was war going between Israel and Gaza, and to have this smooth transition, it is there. And it was attended by the representative of 19 countries. And which were those countries? Argentina, Canada, Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Turkey. Please remember that fact. Pakistan was also there. What is the objective? To oversee and coordinate the post-conflict governance and to bring the peace in the region. So this is the objective. And what is the membership? So it is chaired by the US President with an executive board of select global leaders, and invitation based membership is there, and India was actually invited but not attended, including the fixed term and the paid permanent members. So this is all about the Board of Peace. Now we will see the next quick update. So let us start the last quick update of the day, and that is related to Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. And what is the development? So Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme have completed 11 years, which was launched in 2015. And let's see the nitty-gritties of the scheme. Firstly, this is centrally sponsored scheme. What are the centrally sponsored scheme? We already discussed it. Then it is under the Mission Shakti. And what is Mission Shakti? So Mission Shakti is the umbrella scheme for the all women related schemes, and Beti Bachao Beti Padhao is also part of the Mission Shakti, right? Then it is the joint initiative of various ministries, and which are those ministries? Firstly, Women and Child Development, then Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and then Ministry of Education. Then again, latter Ministries of Skill Development and the Entrepreneurship and the Minority Affairs joined the scheme. So these are the ministries involved. And what is the key objectives? So first key objective is improve the sex ratio at the birth. So first key objective is to improve the sex ratio, obviously Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Then secondly, ensure the institutionalized deliveries at 95% or above. So the percentage around 95% deliveries should be institutionalized. And then increase the girls secondary education enrollment and skilling by 1% annually. So 1% annually there should be increase in the secondary education enrollment and skilling. And then 1% first trimester antenatal care. So increase in the first 1% first trimester antenatal care registration per year. So these are the some of the key objective. And what are the key achievements? So national sex ratio at birth have increased from 918 in 2014-15 to 930 in 2023-24. So there is actually increase in sex ratio at birth. And secondly, institutional deliveries have increased from 61% in 2014-15 to 97.3% in 2023-24. So there is actually increase in the sex ratio at birth and the institutionalized deliveries. This is all for the today's session. You can also visit our digital current affairs portal, and you can solve various quizzes there and read the current affair material and the magazines. So happy learning.